And we're live. We're live. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in to the Ramirez podcast. Herman, how you doing today?
Good, doing good.
Doing good. Looking good as
excited.
always.
Sometimes, man.
Can you let us know where you buy your suits?
Yeah. So I actually, this one, Tom's Place, Kensington Market.
Oh, that's the secret, eh?
Yeah. But the secret is you buy them a bigger size and you get them tailored.
Right?
Yeah.
I don't know if we can afford a tailor, but we'll figure that out. You let us know where your tailor is.
Yeah.
Second question, are you single?
No.
Okay.
No, I'm not, yeah.
Glad we got that out of the way, Jonah. Thank you.
No, I'm just trying to let him not stress.
Yeah.
There you go. Okay, so Herman, Toronto Hispanic Chamber of Commerce.
Yeah.
When did you start with them? What do you do for them? Where do you see them going?
Yeah, good question. So I'll tell you how we started with the chambers. And it sort of goes back a couple of years. I was always just a member of the chambers. And so I would go to some of their networking events that they had in the city. And the story sort of goes, my father passed away about 2 years ago.
Sorry to hear that.
With cancer. And, and I'm probably similar to a lot of the viewers of this show, right? Like, I'm first generation, born in Canada. My parents came from Chile. They worked really hard. Right. So my mother worked, over 30 years cleaning, being paid a minimum wage. My father didn't have a choice, worked labor. And, when he passed away, I just remember this image, just holding his hand, and he had calluses all over his hand. Right.
Man.
And he worked day and night to give us a better opportunity in Canada. And so that was sort of the defining moment for me. Right. Like if there's something I can do to give back to the community where, that first generation or second generation can sort of live on through their legacy, is what, made me join the chambers. And so about 2 years ago, I joined the board of directors. So I'm on the board of directors. I'm in charge of membership and sponsorship. The president is Luis Briceño. He's been active in the community for over 20 years.
Wow.
And so we've grown the chambers quite a bit coming through a pandemic, which was really hard.
Mm-hmm.
And, we're the members are going, we're having lots of events. We're likely launching a grant to a business this year.
Nice.
So we're doing a lot of work, right? We're doing a lot of work. And where do I see it growing? I just see us growing and getting to the point where we can be an influence in terms of, speaking for the community.
Okay.
Right, yeah.
So for those who don't know what the Toronto Hispanic Chamber of Commerce,
Yeah.
what would be your summary of it?
Yeah, so the Toronto Hispanic Chambers, it's an organization where we facilitate a platform for Hispanic-owned businesses, Latino-owned businesses to sort of get together, interact, and exchange ideas, right? That's sort of our core pillar, is to get businesses and so they can collaborate.
Gotcha.
Right. I know you're really big on collaboration. And so you need to provide a safe platform where these businesses can interact and meet each other. Another pillar, which is important to that, is professional development of our members. We're pretty adamant in once you have a business and you sort of exhausted your family and friends, you need to develop a certain skill set so that you can grow your business and target the Canadian market, right? And so this is where we facilitate some workshops throughout the year in terms of social media, marketing, sales, mindset. We had an import-export seminar a couple of months ago as well. So professional development is important as well.
Do you host any of these events?
So yeah, I don't speak, but we have some of our members who are an expert in that field to come in and to talk.
Is not speaking by choice or?
Well, they opt in.
Okay.
Yeah, they opt in, or we'll reach out to a speaker to come. So we had a couple of months ago. Her name was, I can't remember, Carolina. She's from Ottawa, I think, has a PhD. Focuses on international trade.
Wow.
So it's through a webinar,
Mm-hmm.
right? So something that's really important that we're seeing is the middle class in Latin America is growing, right? Like it's Latin America today is not Latin America 20 years ago, right? Crime rates are coming down.
Would you say there was a divide between the rich and poor, or the upper class and the lower class, and now there's more of a middle?
100%. Yeah, 100%.
What do you think caused that?
I think it's that second generation, right? They're standing up, right? And so they're if they're seeing something that's injustice, they're willing to go and protest, right?
Yeah.
So a couple of years ago, there was protest among most countries in Latin America where
Yep.
they were standing up and they were saying this is not okay, right? So the old ways of doing things, I think with that second generation has changed.
I think it's also the power of like the internet, social media.
Absolutely, yeah.
That's why a lot of these big influencers sometimes get muted.
Yeah,
because they're basically, quote unquote, they're not creating an army necessarily, but they're creating an army of believers in what they're saying.
Exactly. Yeah.
So not like a physical army, but just people that are following them. So
yeah,
not to name any names, but we've seen some people go to jail recently, and they try to silence them because of the power of the social media.
Exactly.
So you're also into investments.
Yeah.
You're a financial planner.
Yeah. So that's my career, right?
That's your full time.
That's sort of my full time. What I do with the Changers is completely voluntary.
Gotcha.
Right. So any person who is on the board of directors or involved doesn't receive any compensation from that. It's purely voluntary, right? My full-time gig is I'm a financial planner, investment advisor, right? So I manage a couple of families, a portfolio about $70 million. And
you said 70?
70 million.
70.
70, yeah.
Okay. Amongst how many people?
250.
Oh, wow.
250 households.
Okay.
And my responsibilities, I invest their money in the stock market or the bond market or other instruments that we have. Yeah.
What's your suggestion for an investment right now?
Tesla. Yeah, Tesla.
You trust Musk?
Yeah. Well. Now, if you look at Tesla, so go back 2020, Tesla just went up 200-300% with the pandemic, and it came crashing down, right? So it came crashing down like 70-80%. So the key to investing is you buy when nobody's talking about it. Right. So, go back 2017, everybody was talking about Bitcoin. It was like $64,000 and then it crashed. Right.
Yeah.
That's when you go in. Right. You go in, Warren Buffett says when there's blood on the street. Right.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So when things go down and things crash, you're picking up a company at a good valuation, at a good price.
What's your assessment on Bitcoin right now? Do you think it will rise again?
I think so. Right. So what's driving Bitcoin right now or any cryptocurrency is if you look at what's happening in the U.S., right, some of these banks are going out of business, right? So think about that. Like you've deposited your money at one of the big banks or a bank in Canada, and you want to get your money out. The money's not there, right? So they're losing faith in the system. And so that's where Bitcoin comes in or other instruments, right, which people will say, well, you know what, I'd rather do it this way.
So do you think El Salvador or Bukele made a safe bet with all the Bitcoin purchases?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Wow.
Absolutely, right? Like, if you look at the emerging market or countries that are developing, if you look at Bitcoin, it has a volatility. So it goes up, goes down, like maybe 20% a day. People in Latin America or people in developing nations are used to that volatility. Yeah. Right? So someone here might be, my money's going up, it's going down. But people, right, like in Argentina, like your dollar, your peso is worth not much, right? So the volatility, they're used to it. And it's gotten to the point where Bitcoin is a safer bet for these people to store their money.
Gotcha. I want you, we talked about how you started in investing.
Yeah.
Why don't you tell the people about your story of how you started and where you went precisely? Where most of your clientele comes from now.
Yeah. So it was a long while ago, but I'll tell you how I got started. So in my business, you either make it, usually 2 ways, right? No, 3 ways. You're well connected. So, your parents are either a judge or a lawyer and you went to Upper Canada College and you're very well connected. Number 2, your mom or your dad's an investment advisor and they're going to hand you over the business. Number 3 is essentially starting from scratch, right? And so that's where I came in. I was working for the banks for many years, and I was working on the investment side of the bank, and I wanted to sort of start my own business and sort of go on my own, but I didn't have that connection. And so I started door knocking, right? I started door knocking in the Forest Hill area, then High Park, then parts of Etobicoke. So, I had experience before door knocking, like when I was a teenager. We used to... no, snowplow. So we would skip school, right? Like in high school, and
Did you tell your boss that when you started investment planning?
Yeah, I did. Yeah. So we would
past experience skipping school.
Yeah, we would skip school on a good snow day and knock Forest Hill, right? Me and my buddies, and so we would knock and say, hey, let us shovel your snow for $20, and we divide it like 3 or 4 people, right? So
money back then.
Yeah, and we, I actually failed a few exams because of that. So,
Oh shoot.
Yeah. But it gave me the experience.
Yeah.
It gave me the experience to do that. And so I started door knocking Forest Hill, right? And talk about like, discipline and mindset and everything, right? Like it was one of the hardest experience I've ever had to live through, leaving a job that was good pay, essentially going through nothing and door knocking, right? I thought I was a professional door knocker for like 5 years. Like that was my life, just knocking doors, right? Wow. But some of my best clients up to this day came from that. Right. One story in particular, I door knocked. It was a Saturday morning, where I had to get up and door knock. Right, and at that time I had 2 kids, and it was like, a father on a Saturday morning to get up and go door knock where I could be with your kids. It was tough. Mm-hmm. And so I was knocking a couple of doors, and I met someone who was bringing in the groceries. So I helped her with the groceries. We connected. I got her number. Right. Then I called her. 1 month went by. I left a voicemail, nothing. Okay. And I had her on a drip. Every month I would called her the second month, nothing. Third month, nothing. Right. 6 months go by. She returns my call. Say, Herman, you know what? I've been getting your voicemails. Thank you for caring for me. I want to meet with you. Right. The drip works, right? You leave voicemails. You think they're not listening, but they're listening, right? Then they're showing that you care for them. We set a meeting. It was a snowstorm, right? So I am like, nothing stopping me. I'm going in. She hands me a binder, right? Almost $2.5 million. And she's like, Herman, I want you to take care of it. It's like, if you're this persistent with what you do, you must be good at what you do.
Wow.
Right. So, and then that led to just referrals and,
That's amazing.
Yeah. So that's the power of face-to-face interaction.
Face-to-face and perseverance.
Exactly. Yeah.
There's like a picture of like a plant growing through the cracks.
Yeah.
And it's like, it says like, never underestimate the power of persistence.
Exactly.
And that's basically
exactly.
It.
Exactly.
Do you still door knock today, or do you just handle what you have?
I just handle what I have. It just goes through referrals. Just the capacity in my business and my assistants, we can't take on too many individuals.
Of course.
But it taught me like valuable lessons, right? And these are people like, when you meet someone, you connect with them. Yeah. Right. Like body language, I don't know. They say it's like 70% of what you do.
How was my body language on the interview?
It was perfect, man. Yeah. We're flowing, man.
Fix my posture.
There's a good vibe here, right? So if you're able to connect with someone, right, and meet them, and you get a good vibe, and you start flowing, and then that's most of the conversation, right? So
I feel like when people get interviewed, they're also scared of being themselves because they're scared of being judged. Yeah. But what they don't realize is that like if you are not yourself, you can sense that.
Dude, that was my turning point in my success was. I was trying to show off something that I wasn't. Yeah. Right. Like here I am, we grew up in a humble household. I didn't have much, and here I am, talking to someone who's worth like $10-15 million, and I would try to show something that I wasn't, and they would sense it right away. But the second you start owning who you are as a person, right, and they see that, right, and they see the change in you, and they say this person is genuine, this person is honest, right. And that goes a long way. Yeah. 100%,
even like I remember I got interviewed by this. He's like probably pushing 90 now, late 80s. One of my first real estate brokers. Yeah. I'm in my accountant rents a room from him. Yeah. Or I don't know if he still does. Rents an office. And I walk in. I'm in shorts, some like beat up shoes, and there's like a T-shirt. Yeah. And my accountant goes, "Oh, he does real estate." And I'm just like, "Oh, it's so embarrassing. Like I'm like not even presentable right now." Yeah. I walk into. He's like, "Oh, come see me after." Yeah. I walk into the room. Some guy that looked like he was from like The Sopranos. Yeah. Big Italian guy. He's just like, "Oh, you're a realtor?" He's like, "Realtors don't wear shorts." Yeah. And I was like, "This mother," Exactly. I wanted to say something, but I'm just like, "Okay, cool." And then like I didn't really say nothing to him. I was just like, "Oh," I'm like, "Oh, really?" And then he left, and I spoke to him, and then that actually that gentleman saw something in me that. Besides the shorts or the T-shirt. Yeah. And I actually learned like a lot from me and the realtor I am today, right? Exactly. Which is amazing. Back to Chamber of Commerce. Yeah. Where do you see it helping the community? Like what obviously I'm new to the chamber. So where do you see us growing? Like I guess you can say more on like the educational side or community work, or what do you see?
Yeah. So we have 3 pillars, right? So, an area that we really want to focus on this year, because last year was essentially, membership, networking. We had a lot of networking events. When, we have a golf event coming up for anyone who doesn't know how to golf. Golf is important if you're doing business.
I want to interrupt you there.
Yeah.
Do not underestimate the power of golf.
Yeah.
Even if you can't hit a ball, if your life depended on it, people look at the sport and they don't see the value in just going and shooting the shit with people for a whole day.
Yeah.
Like, you're there at, like, only certain type of people, mostly only certain type of people go to golf courses.
Exactly.
And some people, like, I've heard stories.
Yeah.
They can't golf for nothing, but they just go to just network.
That's all it is. Right.
And golfing memberships are like over $100K.
Yeah. Try go to like a nice golf club, right?
Exactly.
So we have a golf clinic which we launched last year, and we're doing it every year. It's to teach you the basics, right? Just to get up there, how to hold the club, how to hit a ball, right? How the game is played, and then you can come back to the club and develop, on your own time. But last year was membership, building the membership. This year we're focused on development, right? How to develop skills. I'm going to be teaching soon, like how to door knock, right? And how I drove success. And there's a whole process, right? It's not just knocking a door. It's you got to follow up with a handwritten card. There's like these steps to it, right? And so we're focusing on that. And step 3, and this is sort of spearheaded by Herman Contreras, which you know. So he's focused more so on developing ties with Latin America, right? So he's preparing an event this year called Windows to Latin America, is where we have businesses who either want to do business in Latin America or Latin American businesses want to do business in Canada.
Amazing.
Right. So, Canada is a target market. And for example, I'm meeting with a business from Mexico. They flew in, so tomorrow morning. Wow. They're in artificial intelligence, right? And so they want to use that technology to target automotive industries in Canada. And so there's a lot of business going this way, a lot of business going that way. I think we're in a position, right, where we can monetize on that and be successful in that, because you speak perfect English, you speak perfect Spanish, right? You can play
80%.
Okay,
90%.
but we can play both sides, right? We can play both sides, right? And so I think those are opportunities that we have to grab by the horn. Yeah.
Also, the reason why I open Soul Properties is because I see the way the world is going. So it's pushing towards international.
100%, man.
I got an email from a lady in Florida today.
Yeah.
Hey, I've been associated with the Chamber of Commerce. I visited them a couple of years ago or something. And she just wanted to connect. And she's part of I can't remember what it is, but representative of some kind of association for Nicaragua, Panama, and somewhere else. Yeah. And it's just like the collaborations that are happening aren't so much in your country anymore. It could be from anywhere in the world.
Exactly. And from personal experience, like a lot of my clients are retiring young, right? Because the pandemic is like, why am I going to wait? I don't want to be shirtless, topless at 65 on a beach. That's not retirement for me, right? I want to retire now. And so what you're seeing is they're selling their homes, right? So most recent, the client sold their home, right? They managed to pull out close to $800K in equity. They went to go live in Costa Rica. And so I simply manage the money for them. I send them a monthly paycheck, right? And they're living it up in Costa Rica.
Amazing.
And so that's the trend. Are
they shirtless or no?
Sorry?
Are they shirtless?
Yeah, maybe. yeah, maybe, right? But that's the point that I'm getting across is it's the Canadian demographic now is looking at Latin America. It's
Correct.
Safe, it's affordable, and it's a place where they can retire happy.
Correct.
Yeah.
Any other investment suggestions or advice you can give the people?
Yeah. So I was thinking about that on the way here, right? And an advice is this, right? Sometimes we spend beyond our means, and whatever you spend now, you should have foregoing in the future, right? So making a sacrifice today will have more money in the future, right? So it's sort of like you spend it now or you have it in the future. With tax returns, lots of people are getting their tax returns now, and the first thing they'll do is they'll go book a vacation, right? I have a portfolio which I call the day in the life portfolio. It's very simple, right? And I did it myself. I wake up in the morning and I use my iPhone, so I invest in Apple. Then I brush my teeth and I take a shower with Colgate, so that's all my Procter & Gamble. Then I get in a car, right? Which is a Ford, right? I get in a car. And then I maybe go to Costco, do my groceries, and grab a Starbucks. So these 5 companies. Have you invested $1,000 in each company? Right? So $5,000 total, which is, like a vacation. In 5 years, you would have $15,000 right, from your $5,000. Which could be used for a pre-construction or a down payment, right?
Correct.
In 10 years, that $5,000 is close to $35,000, right? So your decisions today, right? I would sort of, think about, we call this opportunity cost, right? It's the cost of your missed investments, the cost of not taking action to certain things, which are usually the biggest mistakes. Wow. So I would suggest that.
Makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Herman, where can people find you or contact you in case they want more info?
So something that I've started doing on Fridays, I dedicate my time to help. Usually what we're seeing is Latinos who are retiring and want to go back to their country, and they have questions about their CPP, their OAS, their pensions. And so what I've been doing with my Fridays, I've been helping them, just answering questions, right? Wow. Completely just voluntary. Right. So if that's a case where maybe someone or someone's parent needs information on certain financial things, I can help them out. So best number is 416-728-2058. That's my phone number, or through the Chamber of Commerce. Amazing. It's probably hashtagged in your thing. Yeah.
Perfect. Herman, thank you so much for coming today. Pleasure. Appreciate you. A lot of good gems, a lot of good information. We'll be back with David from Triple Element, and we'll be back after this commercial break. Buenas tardes, señoras y señores, y bienvenido a Soul Properties. Today I'll be talking about why I opened an international real estate company. Born in Canada with Colombian parents, I often visited Latin America. Over the years, as I grew up, I always saw more and more North Americans in these countries. I noticed that the interest was there and more Canadians and more Americans were moving south to the sunnier side of real estate. Recently, in the last 3 years, myself and my mother bought our first property in Panama, a beachside condo in a residential resort that we often go to every year. The goal of Soul Properties is to be the bridge for North Americans to buy in Latin America. During the process of myself and my mother buying in Panama, I wish maybe we had a little more guidance. That's why I opened Soul Properties, to be the bridge for North Americans to buy in Latin America. Whether it be connecting them with a builder or connecting them with a real estate agent in Latin America, and even being that consultant that can make that process easier of buying in Latin America. With plenty of opportunities, tourism on the rise, and more baby boomers retiring every year, Soul Properties is dedicated to find you the right property you deserve in Latin America. Soul Properties, the sunny side of real estate.
Soul Properties is a premier international real estate company that specializes in providing clients with a wide range of investment opportunities. Soul Properties is well positioned to help clients achieve their real estate goals, whether they're looking to invest in a property for the long term, earn income from short-term rentals, or find the perfect luxury home to call their own. The company's portfolio is diverse and impressive, featuring everything from high-yield investment properties to luxury villas and apartments in some of the Latin America's most desirable locations. Whether you're looking for a property in a bustling city center or a secluded getaway in a picturesque rural setting, Soul Properties has something to offer. At Soul Properties, we pride ourselves on our integrity, professionalism, and commitment to delivering the best possible service to clients. If you're looking for an experienced, reliable, and results-driven partner to help you achieve your real estate goals, look no further than Soul Properties.
We're back. David, Triple Element.
Happy to be here, man.
Sexy guy,
according to Jonah and to me. Triple Element, triple threat?
Yeah, let's go.
That's what it's about. Okay, so David, what do you do you do Chinese medicine?
Yeah, I have a wellness clinic in Vaughan. I'm a Chinese medicine practitioner myself, background in personal training, nutrition, Reiki hypnosis, yeah.
Reiki hypnosis, what's that? You never told me about that.
Yeah. I have before China, we'll get to it.
Okay. Yeah. Do you still do personal training?
Here and there, it's more online coaching. And the clients that I do have, I prescribe some exercises, some stretches, things to help them with their pain for sure.
Is it more like on a kind of like a physio type of thing versus actually like trying to get deezed or buff?
Both. Most of the people that I see is for pain. So it is more like, say, corrective exercises, things for stabilization. But then I do get people that want to come in for weight loss, or it's just an adjacent thing that they want to work on. Mm-hmm. So I definitely help them prescribe meal plans and exercise plans and help them get started.
So full package.
Yeah, I would say.
You don't have a alcohol bar at your clinic. You have
It's a herbal
herbal
dispensary.
Did you say tea bar?
Yeah, I would say a tea bar.
How many different kind of teas do you have there?
Quite a few. Quite a few different teas, but mainly it's raw herbs. Yeah.
So what you've been prescribing a lot lately, and which I've been looking into a lot too, is teas that help you digest.
Mm-hmm.
Teas that don't make you feel as bloated.
Mm-hmm.
And a big thing right now is obviously gut health.
Yeah, and our connection to our brain. Yeah.
And the connection to the brain. You want to speak a little bit about that?
So a lot of the things that we're learning now in the research is that our gut is our second brain. You hear the term gut microbiome a lot. So one of the things that can help with your digestion, incorporating certain herbs, like you'll see it in different cultures. A lot of Indian cuisine, for example, they'll have a little jar with fennel seeds. That usually helps with gas and bloating. In Chinese cuisine, a lot of times they'll come in with jasmine or green tea as well. Helps with digestion, breaking down fats. So anyway, there's this connection between our gut and our brain, and we're noticing that a lot of our emotions, our hormones, and our immune system is actually held with our gut as well.
Wow.
Yeah.
And there's other things that you can do other than drinking tea. Obviously losing weight.
Mm-hmm.
Talk about the cupping and the acupuncturing. How does that connect? Like, say when you're trying to specify or help a certain pain, whether it be gut health or a shoulder pain or whatever, how does cupping and acupuncture attack that?
Okay, so cupping, I would say, is more on the physical side, similar to massage. It's one of the only things that help decompress tissue. If you think of massage, it's always compressing tissue, always pushing down. Cupping is, think of it kind of like an accordion. So you're really spreading out the different layers of tissue, from the skin to the muscle to the bone to the fascia. You're creating a lot more space, similar to an accordion, and then you're flushing that area with blood and nutrients and oxygen. So it's helping speed up healing. It's helping to take pressure off of the nerves of the spine. Helps blood flow, circulation. So it helps in a lot of different ways.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but cupping's probably been around thousands of years. But in mainstream media, would you say it was when Michael Phelps?
Yeah, I would say that was the first, or at least one of the first big, because everyone saw these marks on his back.
It was at the Olympics, right?
Yeah. Everyone saw the marks on his back, and everyone was like, what is that? So that brought a lot of attention to cupping. Then a lot of athletes, you'll see LeBron a lot of the times in the basketball games, he'll have cupping marks on his back. And then even on the red carpet, there were a lot of ladies that were wearing like the red dresses, their black dresses, and then you could see the cupping marks. So then that brought attention also on the Hollywood scene.
So you're basically stretching it out, and then the blood flows better through.
Yeah, and by moving blood, you're also helping to get rid of toxins in the blood, and you're just helping to clean the whole system.
What other issues are you usually helping with that clients come with, usually like nowadays? What do you find very common other than gut health?
So I treat a lot of migraines, a lot of sciatica, back issues, knee issues, anxiety for sure. That's been huge lately. And then along with anxiety, insomnia comes along with that. And then there's just little things everywhere, but I would say those are the main ones.
What would you say is a solution, or like something to consider for like insomnia or anxiety?
So it's very specific to the person, and that's one of the things about Chinese medicine, is that 10 people could have insomnia and they're all completely different and for a different reason. So it honestly depends on the person, but it would be a combination of acupuncture, guided meditation, because a lot of people with anxiety or insomnia, they can't shut their brain down, so they need help with that. And then there's a lot of herbal medicine as well that can help.
Okay. And
helps to calm the nerves. Very simple one, let's say chamomile. But
so could it be like a genetic thing, or it's like a trauma thing, or diet thing, or like a combination of everything?
A combination, yeah.
And what do you think brought this rise in anxiety in people recently?
Oh, well, recently, I mean, we've been locked down. I mean, people are losing their minds a little bit the last 3 years. But also, like, the rise of inflation, people's living costs are skyrocketing. So it's not just the lockdowns and the masks and everything that happened. It's also just a lot of pressure on people. Now we're at one of the stats that came out, highest credit card debt ever, right? So people are under a lot of stress that we don't see. It's not on the surface, for sure.
When did you decide to take something like this on? Like, when did you say, you know what, I want to open a clinic, I want to help people?
Yeah,
This
so
is my thing.
it started like 13 years ago, actually. So in elementary school and high school, I've always been a very active kid. Kind of like a troublemaker, distracted the class, always in the office, but I wasn't a bad kid. So I never like swore at a teacher. I never threw a chair at a teacher. I wasn't in behavioral class, but I was always in trouble. The teacher just didn't know what to do with me.
Were you assessing the teachers and the principals while you were...
No. They were moving. They honestly would move my desk. They would put me beside the best student. They put me in the corner. They would put me beside the teacher. They didn't know what to do. So anyway, in high school, I fell in love with physical education and science. And my guidance counselor at the time, he was like, well, why don't you train athletes, since this is what you like? And honestly, something clicked for me. And I didn't overthink it. I didn't say, oh, personal training is what I'm going to do for the rest of my life. I was just like, this is what I want to do now. This is what I love, and this is what I enjoy. And here's my passion. So I'm going to pursue it, see where it leads. So I went to Humber for 2 years. I graduated from that program. It was exercise physiology, biomechanics, basically the fundamentals of fitness and health. Mm-hmm. Then from there, it's actually when I finished school is actually when I fell in love with learning. And when I started working, I started realizing a lot of the things that they taught us about nutrition in school were useless. And so that led me on a path of curiosity. And this was 13 years ago. So like 2011, 2012. Mm-hmm. So like Facebook was just getting started. There was no Instagram. This wasn't cool yet. Like it was just in the beginning of the fitness boom. And so I went from personal training. Obviously from personal training, I need to learn my nutrition to help clients. And then my massage background started there as well, because my personal training clients started having shoulder issues, neck issues. So I started learning from massage therapists. I started doing active release therapy, started reading books. And then, so basically my journey went from nutrition, led me to superfoods and herbs, which led me to Eastern philosophy. And then on the other side, I started getting really interested with meditation, breath work. And that led me to energy, which led me to acupuncture and also Eastern philosophy. So both branches wrapped around, and it all led me to the East. So within that 3-year gap, I would say from when I was like 19 because I started Chinese medicine school at 23. In that 3-year gap, I was really dabbling into a lot of different things, a lot of different medicines. That's where I studied hypnosis. It was a certification course. That was a summer. So I was dabbling into different things. And then I decided I wanted to study something on the natural medicine side. And so I looked into naturopath, Ayurvedic medicine, which is from India, Chinese medicine, and homeopath. And I chose the Chinese. I felt they had the most complete system, and a system that really spoke to me.
Wow.
Yeah.
What's your big, at my office, we have a thing called like your hurrah moment of the first quarter of the month. What's one client or someone you've helped where it's like a hurrah moment, you're just like, we'll never forget about it?
A hurrah moment in terms of like a success story? Yeah. Well, I've had this one lady, and she still comes to me. She started coming to me when I first started, it was a cold call. I was working at a gym. I was still a personal trainer. I called her and I was like, hey, like, what are you up to? Like, what's your training schedule like? She's like, oh, well, my personal trainer just went MIA, so I'm actually looking for somebody. And so our first session, I did some active release therapy in her shoulder, and her knuckles were actually pointing forward. And then by the end of the session, they were pointed to the side. So that was one of her hurrah moments. Like, oh, okay, this guy's really good. He's young. He knows what he's doing. And she's still with me up to this day. And so there's a whole bunch of different things that we work on. She's in her 70s. She used to downhill ski for Canada. And she's still skiing. She's still playing golf. She's still playing squash. And when I met her as well, her knee would swell up after every squash match, which within like a month that stopped happening just from basic stretches, strengthening. And I think that's honestly one of like success stories is not like one success or that I cured an illness or anything. It's more that I was able to help this lady continue doing the things that she loves until today still.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing. You mentioned something about superfoods. What's the...
they kind of go on a trend.
What's
one day's avocados, the other day's guava, one day's chia seeds.
What are your top 5 superfoods and top 5 foods people should avoid that maybe they don't know about regularly?
Okay, well, let's go with avoid first. Definitely sugar, alcohol. A big one recently is actually seed oils.
Like cooking with seed oils?
Cooking with seed oils in general. Especially you'll see in really refined packaging. They use them a lot. They're very, very detrimental to us. What is that, 3?
Doesn't have to be 5, but as many as you can say.
I mean, there's a lot of terrible things out there, like corn syrup and yeah. Okay, so those are some things that you should avoid. Some things that you can introduce. A big thing is bringing inflammation down. So if you can introduce turmeric or ginger into your diet quite often.
As a tea or actually eating it, or does it matter?
Both. You can use that as a tea. You can put it into your soups. You can grate it. You can put it into your smoothies, into your drinks. Yeah, there's a lot of ways to utilize them. In terms of supplements, like fish oil, vitamin D, those are the staples, I would say. Magnesium, definitely.
Amazing.
Yeah.
What's your take on, sorry.
Go ahead.
What's your take on sea moss? I've been seeing a lot of that.
Sea moss, that's another one that's trending recently. A lot of trace minerals, right? A lot of people are using that for sure.
I started almost 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
How are you feeling?
I'm sleeping better. I'm sleeping better, and
Yeah.
I'm actually waking up with way more energy.
Yeah, you actually said hi to me today. Yeah, cause,
That's only because you brought me food.
Yeah. A lot of the times those supplements, even like fish oils, vitamin C, you don't really notice an effect right away.
Yeah, it takes time.
And sometimes you don't even notice an effect. You kind of just have to trust the product because it's just doing something internal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So all those teas, I think it's probably like 20, 30 different types of herbs you have up there.
Mm-hmm.
You're technically making a drink or a concoction.
You're making medicine. Yeah, you are.
For somebody.
Yeah.
So all those different herbs you studied and what they benefit?
Yeah. So that's the crazy thing. So acupuncture is a 2-year program all year round. So really it's a 3-year program. To become a Chinese medicine practitioner, it's an extra year. But the amount of herbs that you have to study, and they're in Chinese. So I didn't have to study Chinese characters. It's in Pinyin, which is like English letters, but it's still Chinese. And so I had a whiteboard in my mom's basement. I remember when I was studying, and I was just write and repeat, and just I had to memorize these Chinese herbs. Yeah, and it's like you have to remember the single herbs, which is hard enough, and know what each single herb does, which organs it goes to, contraindications, everything. And then there's the formulas, which can be 14 herbs per formula. So, and then there's just different diseases. We talk about qi, blood, yin, yang, which is, again, we can go into Chinese medicine a little bit.
So you're also selling digestion packets,
Mm-hmm.
which is like a combination of herbs. How many different ones are in there?
Quite a few. Yeah, at least 6.
6.
6 different ones. Like fennel's in there, ginger's in there, turmeric's in there. Yeah.
So people can just come buy these off you? And
Yeah. We sell them at the clinic.
Like a tablespoon, I think you said a day or something?
Yeah, it's loose leaf herb tea. So
Mhm.
you usually use a strainer or use your own teapot or a strainer in your cup, and you put a teaspoon, put warm water or hot water, and you make yourself a tea.
There you go.
Yeah, and a tea is just one way of getting it into your body. Your diet has a lot to do with it. So one of the things that I really liked about Chinese medicine is that their diet isn't like you're not going to see keto, paleo, whatever, Atkins, any types of these diets. Their way they categorize their food is the same way they categorize their herbs, which is through temperature. So they eat with the seasons. And again, there's a couple of things from Chinese cuisine. If you'll see, they never drink cold water. It's always hot water because they understand that their digestion is an oven. So the kind of concept of thinking of your digestive fire. So you don't want to put out that fire. So typically you don't want to drink ice cream. You don't want to drink cold water because it'll just stay in your stomach and then your body uses its own energy to warm it up and then digest it. So think of it as your digestive fire, metabolism, right? That's why generally, let's say guys are more warm because we eat a lot more calories and we have higher metabolisms. And so the food is categorized by, so think about it even just simple terms. In the winter, you don't really crave watermelon, right? You crave teas, soups, stews, things that warm the body, things that have a lot of calories. And then in the spring and the summer, you start to crave more fruits. You crave cold water because your body's hot. So you try to cool it down. So in a way, if you can eat with the seasons, so for example, in the winter, naturally, there was nothing growing. So we had to rely on grains, nuts, seeds, meat when we can find it, right? That's why we always celebrated like Christmas with, let's say, with a roast, a pig, or Thanksgiving with a turkey. We'd have that meat once in a while, but then in the spring, there's a lot of sprouts. So the spring was always a time to detox from all the heavy foods that we had in the winter. And so nowadays we eat the same foods all year long, which isn't natural for us. Every season we used to detox from the season before. And so we gave our bodies a break from the food that we would eat. Does that make sense?
100%. And I actually saw a video about that the other day, that in the summer, society, most people decide to drink more and have barbecues and have all these heavy type of meals.
Exactly.
And that your body, by the time winter hits, that's why you feel groggy and lazy. And it's not necessarily...
you haven't cleaned.
Exactly. It's not necessarily the weather. It's more what you fed your body for the last 3 or 4 months.
Yeah. So that's why anyone who's thinking of fasting or doing a juice cleanse or anything like that, spring and summer. If you want to do some sort of cleanse in the fall and the winter, I would go more with a bone broth fast.
You mean like a soup?
Yeah. So basically souping instead of juicing. Because juicing, again, you're introducing a lot of vegetables, a lot of fruit, which cools the body down in the wintertime. So you're killing your digestion even more. Yeah.
Wow. Did you want to talk about more mental health and coaching? You want to touch? Do you want to touch more, or you think we touched on it already enough?
We touched on it a little bit, but...
So you offer that if
people
want to...
So this is kind of where I guess my skills and my brain is going towards now. I've developed some sort of system based on psychology. It's based on the 4 archetypes: the king, the warrior, the sage, and the lover. And it's basically a system of psychology to progress through the levels of consciousness. So if you think of at the very bottom, there's a victim consciousness, and then you work your way up. So at the very bottom, very low vibration, is the victim. So everything happens to me. So it's more I lose mentality. And then the one after that is conflict. So eventually, being a victim for long enough, you start to get angry, which leads to conflict. So now it's more of like, let's say you're someone who people just step all over you all the time. You're in the victim mentality. You're like, oh, poor me, poor me, poor me. But at some point you get angry. And then you become not the bully, but you start to stand up for yourself. But if you let someone step on you for a long time, you do it in an irrational way. Instead of setting healthy boundaries, you kind of push back really, really hard. But you're getting out of that victim mentality. So for going from a place that's poor me, now you're going to, or I lose, you're going to you lose. And they're still lower level, but then you go to a place where it's like, okay, win-win, and then you're moving up the chain to somewhere where it's more wholesome.
Where is this from? Chinese medicine too?
No, this is not Chinese medicine. No, this is more on the psychology side.
Wow.
But it's just I kind of took what I learned, and if I can go back and I could talk to my younger self, or if I can develop him in a way that I could have streamlined and just gotten more results, or just done it faster, done it better, etc. This is the program that I would have applied. You
wouldn't be in the principal's office as often.
Yeah, exactly.
I
wouldn't have gotten into so much trouble.
Anything else you want to tell the people? That was a lot of good information, by the way.
My clinic's in Vaughan. It's at Jane and Highway 7. It's called Triple Element Acupuncture and Wellness.
Check them out.
We have a lot of different services there. And
complimentary espressos?
Complimentary espressos for sure. I have an espresso machine. I also do the teas.
With no sugar. With no sugar.
With no sugar. Actually, that's the funny thing. So I had people come in and they asked for sugar and I didn't have any. And then they were like, oh, okay, no. Like some people would be like, no, I don't want the espresso because they needed the sugar. So I actually have a small jar of sugar, like brown sugar there, just so they can get their teaspoon.
Help them get off the addiction a little bit. Yeah. Check them out. Jane Harvey 7, Triple Elements, mental and physical health.
Yeah.
David's got your back. And thanks for coming out, man. Appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
No problem. Any other questions? Feel free to follow him on Instagram, Triple Element Wellness. And yeah, that's it for today, guys. Thank you so much for watching.
Thank you.
We'll be back in 2 weeks on another episode. And have a good night, everybody.